Just letting you know, this is only my spoiler first impressions of the episode. Check my pinned comment for a free gift related to this video. And to watch my unfiltered reactions with exclusive bonuses, join my Asha Media TV Club. The link is in the description box below. Now, here's my afterthoughts of this episode of Supernatural.
Winchesters, the Winchesters. Well, this was a very interesting one in a sense, not in the greatest sense, but it's like, I think this is one of the few fillers I've come across that's genuinely 50% boring. Like the whole thing with the Piero, the whole Piero thing, was a snooze. You know, I'm thankful though it led up to something and had an actual conclusion with all the painting and all that stuff and her craziness. Thankfully. But if they didn't have these amazing Rowena scenes and Crowley, this would have been officially like a 1.5 Ashamoji, you know, sucks kind of half. It was pretty damn boring. I guess it's the tone, right? And the pacing and that nun, not the Italian one, the other one, the white one, where just the way she talked just felt like a drawn way of speaking. Then again, I guess it's just what you're used to. I'm just not used to someone speaking that slowly. Okay, and she's probably not slow to some people, and I know for some I talk really fast, and for others I don't, so depends on the person. Okay, yeah, so when it comes to that story, aside from, honestly, seeing her chop her finger off and have it grinded into the painting. And the fact that Piero even did that. Piero's not like, oh my God, she's crazy. Thanks for the finger. Peace out. No, he's like, all right. I'll mix it in. I'll draw your painting. Wow. But I thought essentially that I thought she was a witch. And I thought she wrote down spells or something in the book. But she was just cast as a witch because of the act that she did. Yeah. So I thought he was reading the journal to get insider stuff on saving Dean. I misunderstood that. Okay. I'm like dabbling in my mind to figure out a scene that I like. I guess the confessional scene. It's not every day we see him at a confessional booth having a heart-to-heart. So I gotta give credit to that scene. Gives me some insight as a viewer about the character growth, what thereof, of Dean Winchester at this point in time in the series. And that line where he's saying that there's so much he has yet to see. You know, there's that spark to want to live, to have experiences he hasn't had. I really hope they mean it. And I hope we see more growth with Dean. Because although I appreciate on one hand, they don't change up the characters too much, except for Sam. But Dean he's been pretty consistent with the more obvious traits, you know, his tendencies to check out women. Checkbox on that one. Even in this episode, right? 2, you know, his anger management issues at times, and then it gets exacerbated with this whole thing with the Mark of Cain. Yeah, there's just many aspects of his personality, sense of humor, you know. It's quite consistent. So there's a part of me that feels like his growth as a character seems a tiny bit stagnant. It's like he's not really learning any real life lessons. It's almost, I mean, mind you, I'm just going off of a superficial layer of things. I'm sure there are little tiny things here and there that he's changing. So I appreciate the fact that those changes aren't so drastic to one extent, but at the same time, considering there are 15 seasons, I hope now by the 10th, you know, by the 11th and going further, there will be more life events that will show me a slightly different Dean Winchester by the time I reached the end of the series. A grown, matured man. You know? Okay, and of course, don't validate or deny that. Don't be writing me hints. Don't worry, Asha. You know, they have amazing character arcs. That's a spoiler in and of itself, because you're giving me something to expect. Maybe not in detail, but in the generality. Okay? Yeah, so that's the scene I'll pick for now. Now, as for the Rowena and Crowley stuff, there was a main thing I wanted to... Oh, yes! Okay. So, the Grand High Lady said to Rowena that she had sex with a non-magic person and then had Crowley, and Rowena had a reaction to that. So I'm thinking back when she was telling Crowley that it was winter solstice and you had a father. And, you know, it just made it seem like she just had an orgy and got pregnant. Like it was nothing. Like it was part of the ritual for witches. But it seems like that may not be the case. Maybe she was actually in love with somebody. And that's going to be a backstory to unfold. Because I figure, hey, we've tapped into the whole thing with his son. We now have his mom. Why not bring in the daddy, huh? Why not bring in the daddy? So a full family affair, I'm now expecting perhaps might join the story at some point. Like the spirit of his actual father joining the conversation. For Crowley, lose his mind. Yeah, so that was interesting. There's a lot more to this whole thing with Rowena that then meets the eye. And for those of you that have avidly expressed your love for this character, I have to believe there's a definite reason for that. Especially if you don't like Crowley as a character, but you love Rowena. So that makes me believe that there's going to be a lot of stuff to see that justifies that love. Oh yeah, another thing then. So my whole theory then about Sam reaching out to the Coven to possibly get their witchcraft powers to help with, Dean. Yeah, that's out the window. Wacky theory. Number 1500 to cross off my list. So I'll have to come up with a new one. But one way or the other, I know Sam's going to be involved in finding something, because that's his whole mission. And now that they have it, where Dean's like, okay, let's do it. He'll be an active participant. No more back and forth quarreling about it. So it's the drama of how they figure things out, with who. And now that it is officially tied to the Winchesters for Rowena, the antagonism there, I'm a bit nervous to see, but of course I'm excited to see it. But she's definitely going to peg them as enemy number one. Or more or less this episode solidifies that she's like the Winchesters. Like, they are a pain in my ass, and Sam and Dean are on her hit list. Cool. But then that leads me to think Crowley is going to definitely have something to say if she tries to harm them, because he made it quite clear he's not going to kill them, but he's obviously going to mess up something with them, because he's hurt. He's hurt. Tries with them, and they don't care for him. Okay. That's all I'll say for now. I'll leave the rest to you to break it down. If you know any trivia, let me know. If you've watched that Witches movie, let me know that too. I hope I'm not alone on that. And if you haven't watched it, it's super old. I don't even know. I have to ask my mom if she still has the VHS. Knowing her, she won't. She won't likely have it, because I think, there was a point, my siblings and I, we, went over at our place and we're just like, we're getting rid of all your old shit. She's a hoarder of stuff. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, though, let me know. If you haven't, no problem. Check it out. It's a cute movie. One of the best ones. And one of the best representation of, a classic old school gnarly witches you'll probably ever see on screen, because I haven't seen any that comes close to the practical effects. I know there was a remake, and I never bothered to see. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, no, thank you. Although I heard the performance from Anne Hathaway was alright. Maybe I might check it out. Maybe. No promises there. Okay, that's all I'll say for now. Moving on to the next one. See you then.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos.